Hey there, RWBY fans. Welcome to another episode of the RWBY After Show on AFTERBUZZ TV. Tonight we are talking about the world of Remnant, the Great War, as well as Volume 4, Episode 10, Kuroyuri. It's time to take a trip down memory lane. Stay tuned.
You're tuning into the destination for TV superfan discussion, AFTERBUZZ TV. And now, let the buzz begin.
It's time to take a trip down memory lane because this is a pleasant experience.
This reminds me of Christmas time down at the village.
Oh yeah, did Krampus visit you?
I think somebody on Twitter mentioned something about when Krampus and someone else team up. You know you're in for a bad time.
Adrian Martinez. When Bad Horse and Krampus team up, you know you're screwed. We're going to talk about that because that thing has a name.
We are indeed, guys. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the RWBY After Show on AFTERBUZZ TV. We got a lot of fun stuff to talk about tonight. Clearly, fun. Before we get started, let me introduce my fantastic panel. To my left, Mark Donica.
Hello, I'm it's Mark B. Donica. You can find me on Twitter at Mark B. Donica. I love being here, and I love sitting here next to the one and only Katie Cullen.
Hi, my buddies. You can find me on the social medias at Kiaxet. That is Kiaxet. And of course, we are led by the wonderful Megan Salinas.
Aw, shucks, guys. Hey, you guys can tweet at me at the Menguin. That's TheMenguin. Sadly, Patrick could not be here tonight. But
he's fighting my little death horse.
Be sure to follow him at P to the D's.
Just that pause of, sorry, Patrick has died. No, he's fine. The man is launching a football franchise. He's traveling a lot, so...
He was killed by a demonic hell beast. He will be missed.
He's wrangling a Nevermore so he can try and get back here for the next show.
Caca.
But yeah, okay, guys, I want to start off talking about the world of Remnant. Obviously, the meat of our conversation is going to be on the episode itself, but I really appreciated that we finally got this episode of the world of Remnant in particular because OMG, I forgot to mention, we are going to be following the hashtag RWBYABTV or ABTV Rooster
chat.
Team.
I'm watching you people say hi.
Sorry about that. We have things to talk about. No time for that. But so yeah, send us your thoughts and comments as well. Yeah, I really enjoyed this world of Remnant because all season long I've been going, what's the Great War? What happened there?
Well, we've been wondering about the war since Volume 1
when they mentioned it.
There was a war.
By the way, we had a war, which is why you're all named after colors, and we all kind of went, all right, that's a nice little piece of world building. What did they do?
Well, even when they're sitting in classrooms together, you know, they're having lessons on the Great War that people are sleeping through, and it's like, no, guys, wake up! We need to pay attention to this.
But also, these kids are products of after the war,
yeah,
so
exactly.
it's not as much of stuff that their parents lived through and understand the terrors that they all went through. So somewhat echoing similar things that are happening today in our world. As interesting as I found everything, we got little tidbits here and there throughout the entire season. But the most interesting thing that I thought came out of this was the fact that Vale was the town that came out on top, and the King of Vale was like, everybody bowed to him, and he was like, no, together, we're all gonna roll together.
And the King of Vale, they had a warrior king who showed up and wrecked everybody, and then presumably wrecked the Grimm that showed up as a result.
Yeah, he wrecked everyone, wrecked the Grimm. Everybody bowed down to him, and then he said, "Okay, yeah, I'm done being king. Yeah, we're gonna turn this into, we're gonna completely restructure the way the world is run, and he abdicated his throne. What kind of leader does that? Like, that's amazing.
Also, wizard.
Absolutely.
I think we can assume that he was Ozpin's predecessor because he founded the schools, and we know that the schools were founded to protect the relics.
Ozpin was like, because I helped build that school, things like that. But yeah, anytime you see anything like that, a wizard did it.
Yeah, no kidding.
But yeah, and he's portrayed with the color green. He has, basically the staff that Ozpin had. So I feel like they're without coming out and just saying it, they are saying that this guy is the wizard, or at least one incarnation
and
of the wizard.
And that either it was Ozpin or that it was his predecessor, which makes you wonder, how did the king go down, and when did Ozpin get the voice in his head?
Because, it was...
He might have just died of old age.
Wasn't that...
Yeah.
it was 80 years ago,
Yes.
right? So
Yes.
that seems like enough time for the king to live out the rest of his life and
And then
Oz
pass
to
it on
come
to
in,
Ozpin,
Oz to
yeah.
come into being.
But Ozpin could not have gotten it while he was young.
No,
Is what
Yeah,
I'm getting at.
Oscar's
Oscar's
young.
getting this super young. But
well, I mean, I was 12, 13, like early teens.
But he's young, yeah.
I feel like Ozpin would have gotten it as an adult.
We also have no idea how old Ozpin actually is.
And I
That's
thi-
true.
And I wonder if
Or was.
the use of, or if his semblance, still theorized being related to time, has anything to do with either slowing the aging process, or if that's something that, now that we know that auras can be transferred from magical person to magical person, or if that comes as an inheritance from
Being the wizard.
Yeah, my assumption would be that it's an inheritance thing because any other, with the exception of the transfer of power from maiden to maiden, any other transfer is something that has to be done by force, and it's a very unnatural thing. So that's just my take on it. But
That last sentence was very Star Warsy. By
Yeah.
force, unnatural.
There's theories going around that the warrior king is related to Jean in some capacity.
I like this theory as well, because if this guy, he did abdicate his throne, brought peace brought peace to the land at a great cost, but he did bring about peace. And Jean's sword is a family relic. It's a family heirloom, and he comes from a family of heroes. But at the same time, he himself is not famous. He's just a normal person. So it makes sense that he would be the descendant of somebody who gave up their power at one point, who wouldn't be seen as a king, but as a hero.
Well, I don't know, because the other thing is, someone pointed this out in chat, and I think it's scrolled up too far back for me to see it, but nothing is colored differently in a world of Remnant without reason. And the king's crown, sword, and scepter were all a different color than the king and the surrounding area. And that
No,
obviously
his scepter was
reason.
green.
No, it was gray.
No, it was green. It was green. Go
I
back.
can leave if y'all want to talk about this a little bit more.
Chat, check the screen caps. Just check the screen caps. Let
Keep
us
us
know
regular.
what color
What
the
about you,
scepter
Mark?
was.
Do you feel like there's any possibility of a familial relationship?
I do, but I think we're getting less into Joan of Arc and more into Arthurian legend.
Yeah,
Like
that's
straight
fair.
up, just here's this kid that didn't really amount to anything, but this sword is what follows him and makes his future, his past, all one big crazy dance.
We
But yeah.
also get into the Star Warsian rule of literally everyone is related.
Yeah, that's true.
Which
that
starts
we don't
being a
necessarily
problem.
have to have that be a thing. But
It makes the world smaller. if
Are
we
you
do
telling
that.
me that John has raised dad? Anyway.
Yes,
that checks out.
obviously.
That checks out. Although the other thing I really liked about this world of Remnant is
It was green, by the way.
Yeah, Chad says it's
Malachroma
green.
standing by life, it was green. His
That-
crown was golden, but his scepter was green.
Yep. Thank you, Malachroma. Much appreciated. Again, neither here nor there. But one thing I really liked about this was we had a lot of questions when we saw how each side, where everybody fell on each side of the war, because Mistral and Mantle didn't seem like they would go hand in hand when it came to the whole ban on creativity thing. But it also makes sense that Mistral would be like, well, we'll only sort of follow that rule.
The peons can't have art, but the upper echelons who can appreciate it without being
Well-
overwrought by their simple emotions.
Poor people are dumb.
Yeah, basically.
Yeah.
Who
We're
do you
gonna
think
cut funding for the
Shakespeare wrote
arts.
for?
But the as many questions that got answered in this world of Remnant, there's still one big mystery, and that's what was the incident that initially led Mantle to go, yeah, we got to keep the emotions of our people in check. What sort of thing could have happened that they would say, yeah, we got to put a ban on all forms of expression in order to keep the Grimm crisis at bay?
And we have conflicting theories on this.
Did we? I
We
forget.
did, yeah.
Oh, so am I breaking the tie?
No, not necessarily. I'm just saying we have two different takes on it because
I don't remember what my take was.
your
Take two.
take was that it was a political piece of art.
Maybe, yeah.
And
I do
yeah,
remember saying
yeah.
that sounds like something I would say. But yeah, that it might have been a political piece of art and expression that people in Mantle were like, or that like inflamed the populace, caused a riot or something like that, caused a protest, and the powers that be are like, yeah, no, we got to put that in check.
And my take on it, especially after watching Voltron fandom and Sherlock season 4 and just about everything that's been, the craze of the Harry Potter books,
watched
was
Sherlock?
that it was no, I just watched the fandom eat itself.
Anyway.
Was that it was a very popular piece of art where something happened to a very popular character. Like character death wrecks people. And this has been going on since
The end of
Sherlock
Volume 3.
since Sherlock Holmes was being written itself. When Arthur Conan Doyle was writing Sherlock Holmes, people would write to him losing their minds over stuff that had happened. That's why we had more books after the Reichenbach Falls, because people were going crazy. He can't be dead. That can't be it. I mean, this has been a thing that's been going on since the Greeks were doing oral histories.
But that also brings it back to a literary reference and keeps it. It makes it a meta literary reference to being in the actual area of where it was written. I think regardless of the source, I think we're not going to find out in a world of Remnant. I think we're going to find out when we reach one of these towns that hasn't readopted the new norms. And everybody has normal names like Dan and Janine. And we learned that it was just some dictator of that
Huntsman
one town
Larry.
that kept the history and the outside from it, and essentially the show is turning into Avatar: The Last Airbender, where we're gonna go into these different villages, these different homes, these different towns, these bossing says, if you will, and we're gonna see different isolation of the people and of the arts.
Even more so now because communications in between the kingdoms has basically been cut off.
Sure, that was more of a reason to revert.
Yeah, exactly. So any theories on what the incident might have been then, Mark?
No.
No idea?
No. Unfortunately, I just started a new job last week, so now I have two, and I've had much less of time to actually think about. I mean, last show I was like, oh yeah, two brothers that created the Grimm, the Brothers Grimm. That makes sense. And you both were like, what? How did you not see? Because I barely have any time to think. So I'm working on it. I'm trying to get something ready for the finale so that I can actually present a valid thought. But if I think about it while we're talking, I'll bring it up.
Yeah, if you
For those of you in chat talking about the Grimm in the episode, like I said, it has a name. We'll get to it. You'll get your primer on what it's based on.
All right, should we move on to
Let's finish up the world of Remnant. I just want to let people know because that's the dominant conversation right now.
That's basically all I have to say about it. Was just I will say though, I also liked that the Vacuo leader seemed to be a female faunus.
Yeah.
I thought that was really cool.
Just from the silhouette, yeah. And I also love that Vale was pretty much holding its own, and Vacuo threw in when they were like, just in case.
Well,
But that Vale was pretty much holding off two kingdoms.
The only other thing I want to point out is that Remnant seems to be the absolute worst world to live in terms of like living in a world of war. Because not only do you have these 4 different kingdoms trying to kill each other, but then you have the Grimm on top of all of that, attacking towns and being attracted to battles because of all of the negative emotion that gets stirred up because of war.
And just
So they'd fight each other. The Grimm would show up, and they'd be like, okay, time out. Turn around and kill the Grimm. And then they'd be like, okay, time in. And then go back to killing each other. Like, people are smart, y'all.
And then it would bring more Grimm.
Yes!
Well, even less than that, it's even just people worrying about their families off at
Yeah.
war, and that can generate even the smallest attack, which then generates the more of the
bigger
fear,
attack
and then it just keeps amplifying and amplifying. And
Yeah,
amplifying.
it's like an avalanche. It's
pretty bad.
Yeah, so the snowball that starts off small and then it gets to be a big boulder by the time it gets big cartoon boulder by the time it gets to the bottom of the hill.
Can't stop the rock.
Nope.
Speaking of big cartoon boulders of negative emotion, let's talk about My Little Satan Horse.
You want to start at the end?
Should we do?
Dude, we got a big... Dude, we got a lot with Oscar this episode.
We did. Well, yeah, because we got. I just want to say that, like, I feel really bad for this poor kid. Because all of a sudden, like, he's living a normal life. He's bored, but he's living a normal life.
He wants much more than this provincial life, and
Beat
then
me to
suddenly he has it.
You beat me to it.
And then, yeah, lo and behold, destiny comes a-calling, and now he has to leave everything behind and listen to the voice in his head, who will occasionally just shrug his shoulders and go, yeah, money. Good luck with that, kid. Thanks for nothing, Ozpin.
But just the bit about, it sounds crazy, but it feels right. Like, child.
Yeah, I mean, and I like how he was also essentially give me your bank account number so that I can use some of your funds. Like, girl, dude, it didn't come with. I can't give you my card from this next ethereal plane. You're just gonna have to deal with it. But the fact that we immediately got Hazel back, super spooky.
Dented the top of that machine.
He's a big man. I'm wondering.
Almighty.
A little bit too. Well, I have a prediction about where Oscar's going to end up by the end of the season.
Now,
but
Two
here's
episodes
a question.
from now.
Yeah.
Here's a question, though. Do we think Hazel knows who this kid is, in terms of his connection to Ozpin?
yes,
For
No.
sure.
I do.
No.
We're divided again.
I don't know that, unless they know about the succession of the wizard into someone else and knows how it works and are able to track it down. Like,
He
there's
wouldn't
a
have
lot
any
of,
reason to suspect, I suppose.
Salem would have primed him on it and said, you are looking for this person. Like, she would be the only person that I would think would know who it's going to, why, etc. Not even the people that Ozpin was with seem to know that this is a thing, because he's gone and we're functioning like he's gone and like he will never come back.
But what was interesting was that Ozpin knew who this guy was.
Oh, yeah.
And that's something that, like, I got under, because Ozpin didn't, wasn't aware of Emerald and Cinder and Mercury's presence when they were infiltrating his school. I made the assumption that he wouldn't know all of Salem's little henchmen, but he definitely knows Hazel somehow.
I feel like Cinder is the newest adoptee in Salem's
Probably.
Oh, naturally.
little group
Yeah,
of
absolutely.
crazy
Emerald
people.
and Mercury wouldn't be looking so shell-shocked at literally everything
Why
if
aren't
they
you
weren't.
treating her with more respect? Because she hasn't earned it. They haven't jumped her into the group yet, essentially. But
She is the rookie, and she got messed up on her first big assignment. Like, that is not a respect thing.
no, not at all.
No.
But with Hazel. And Oscar in that regard, we don't know where Oscar is. We don't know what kingdom he's in. We don't
No.
know exactly where he is. Why is Hazel exactly where he needs to be?
Yeah,
Like
exactly.
He's searching for the Spring Maiden, right?
No,
He was
Malachroma in
told
chat,
Spring can
thank you
wait.
for this.
Yeah.
Hazel was sent to go talk to Sienna Khan to convince them to hook the White Fang cart to Salem's horse.
Okay, so
I like that metaphor, by the way. I like that.
So why is he here? And why is he getting on a
Maybe-
train when we know that you need to get on a boat?
Maybe
You get
he's-
on a train to go to the harbor.
So, but then presumably they're on the weird dragon continent, right? Like, because that's where all the
Yeah.
darkness is.
Yeah. So you have to get on a boat to get to wherever Oscar's at, and then take a train from there to. I have no idea.
too
It's probably
convenient.
easier to boat from Dragon Continent to other continent and then take a train and then take
Well,
another boat
unless
to
they're not
Menagerie.
going to the main branch of where the White Fang is at, all the way down in Menagerie. Maybe they're at wherever the frick Adam's at. So maybe he's
But
just
he was sent to talk to Sienna Khan.
no idea then.
That's
That's
Menagerie.
it.
I don't know.
Seems my point being, it seems too convenient that these two have met each other so soon.
Well, we also don't know where Oscar is physically. We know he was
that's
on
what
a
I mean.
farm and then he left and he's going somewhere. We don't have a continent
It seems
name.
like a very
Contrived.
No, I don't even want to say contrived, but it seems like a pretty big coincidence
Mm-hmm.
without knowing exactly where they're located at this exact moment. Go ahead.
No, I think it would have been less of a coincidence if we knew exactly where Oscar was. We know, isn't he heading to Mistral?
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
he's heading.
By
he's
Ozpin's-
heading to Haven. Yeah,
He's heading to Haven by
Yeah.
by Ozpin's
that's
suggestion.
that's my guess anyway.
Yeah.
But yeah, maybe Hazel is just. I mean, he's taking the scenic route. He just wants to see the countryside a little bit, and maybe he's just the type of guy that helps people wherever he goes.
Well,
he's
seriously,
like, I know when I'm needed.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but the Dragon Continent's in the upper right corner.
Upper left.
Thank you. I can't with directions.
No problem.
Huge continent in the middle. Menagerie bottom right. It doesn't make sense to sail all the way around. It makes sense to sail to one, cut through with a train, and then sail out the other way.
I would make the argument you don't necessarily travel the most expedient route. You travel the route with less grim.
But still.
But here's the thing: is he's on the side of the grim.
Yeah, that bro don't need to.
That is
need
not
the
going to
protection.
stop them from being attacked by Grim.
Well, so long story short, make sure to pick up Ticket to Ride, the train faring board game at your local Target or board game retailer.
I would play Ticket to Ride Ruby Edition. Oh my god.
Dude,
could you imagine?
So many boats.
Settlers,
So many votes!
Settlers of Catan Ruby Edition.
Settlers of Remnant.
Ooh, I like that.
Just because
I like
Catan
that.
is pronounced weird.
Remnant.
Remnant.
Remnant. And before we get into like
I want it.
before we get into the other big thing in this episode, I do also want to touch on Ruby and Jean a little bit.
do it.
It's not a huge part of this episode, but there's a lot of really good, just nice character bits in the brief exchanges that we get. Because Ruby starts to feel guilty because they're clearly, grim, and the town that they're going through doesn't have the materials that they're looking for to help Crow. And so she feels really bad that she separated Jean, Nora, and Ren, that they're potentially in danger now. And I just loved what Jean had to say. He's like, we lost Pyrrha, but you lost her too, and Penny, and your school, and
Your
in a way,
team and your sister.
your team, your sister, and yet you still felt the need to go and do something to try to make a difference.
Yeah, you didn't drag us along. We kind of hitched our wagons to you. Let's do this. Let's go.
Yeah.
And really quickly, before we get too far away from it, Malachroma confirms Ozpin said to Oscar, I know you don't want to live the rest of your life working as a farmhand in Minstrel. Or in
Okay.
Mistral, excuse me. So Oscar's from Mistral.
Okay, so he is in Mistral.
Yeah.
So hopefully he doesn't have to go that far to get to Haven. So
I have never been good at geography, and fictional geography is just worse.
we're American. Geography is hard.
It's just me, though, personally. I'm bad at math, geography, and obviously telling my left from right. So
the left makes an L.
I use that trick because I need it.
The left hand is a dragon, the right hand is a turkey. That's how you remember where it is on the
Dragon turkey.
How
dragon
do you get
turkey.
dragon from this?
Because it looks it's a dragon right there. Because there's its head and its wings coming up, and then with here there's the turkey's head.
My
And
turkey's
then
always faced this way because I traced him with my right hand.
Ah, I see.
That's where the
That's where it
confusion
came
comes
from.
from.
That's okay.
That makes so much
It's not-
sense.
yeah.
Turkeys are backwards.
You turkeys.
Turkeys.
You turkeys.
Turkey fist.
Backwards turkeys is the
Hashtag-
name of my Counting Crows cover band.
Hashtag turkey fist. All right.
And we brought it back around.
So before
Charge it up.
before we go any further, I want to talk to you guys really quickly about iTunes, folks. Thank you so much to everybody who's gone to iTunes to rate, subscribe, leave a comment. We love hearing from you guys. We love the fact that we have an international audience. It's amazing. And you guys going to iTunes, rating and leaving a comment helps keep the lights on. It helps keep us at this nice desk. It helps us work with PR people to bring in guests like we've had earlier this season and in previous seasons. So guys, we really, and it personally for me, it just is the highlight of my day to hear from you. So you will also get a shout out on the show when you leave a comment, and I believe we have some new comments this week.
You need to give me more warning than that
Well-
because they don't like loading them. Yes, we have, I think, a new one. What day was our last one?
2 weeks ago.
Hold on, I got it.
Yeah, thanks, but calendar dates.
The
What are-
12th.
The 12th. Okay,
So we
we
got
have two new ones. So we have Love It from Tales Marvel Tailgate. Great reviews with a great lineup of reviewers. Also made you laugh at a Catholic joke, Megan. And we have Top Notch by Please Do Nothing to the Cook. I've only been a part of the RWBY fandom for about a month, but after I joined, I immediately began my search for a RWBY-themed podcast for my long drives to and from work. I honestly had no idea what to expect out of this podcast, but I'm extremely grateful that I gave it a try. The hosts do a good job of covering a lot of theories and predictions that would otherwise have never have occurred to me. I don't participate in live chat, but I appreciate everyone who does because it makes the show that much better. Shout out to Malachroma, who always seems to be on top of things.
Always.
Thank you all for doing what you do and keep up the good work.
How awesome awesome is it that a community shouts out itself?
Yes!
Like, that proves the strength of the community, and we love everybody in chat. Everybody who left a comment on last week's episode. We have over 50 comments just between standalone comments and people talking within themselves.
It is funny
Awesome.
to see, like, somebody postulate a theory and then see the discussion go from there within the YouTube comments.
You see, someone postulates a theory, and then like 30 comments are collapsed, and the one at the bottom has nothing to do with anything. You're like, how the hell did this
It's
happen?
like first.
First, and then at the bottom, okay, so we've decided that socialism is evil, but what about, like, and you sit there and go, what the hell happened? Like, I love that. I love when people do that in the comments. You start at point A, and then you see point Q at the bottom. I'm like, all right.
That escalated quickly.
I wonder why it's taking so long to get a Please Do Nothing to the Cook apron in the Rooster Teeth store. Because we have the Bloody Pumpkin
Do you know
Pete
how long
hoodie.
it took them to get a mug? A beacon mug?
I mean,
4 seasons.
well, yeah, but I worked in merchandise creation, and all you need to do is find the right thing. So it depends on where their priorities are. Of course, they're dealing with lines coming out of Hot Topic and any other and stuff internationally with Japan. So they're dealing with a lot. That seems like a pretty easy one
4
to try to get at.
seasons to get a beacon mug.
Wow.
Licensing, guys, is really tough. It's not that difficult to come up with. I say it's not that difficult. It's theoretically really simple to come up with a design and a T-shirt or whatever. Licensing, on the other hand, when you get copyright and lawyers involved.
Words on an apron.
In-house licensing for your own product.
Words on an apron.
Anyway, well, and there's also like distribution deals that
that.
where you've got contracts involved. Anyway, neither here nor there.
That's the biggest announcement that's going to come out of RTX this year. Sydney. It's going to come out of RTX Sydney next week. Is we're going to get finally a Please Do Nothing to the Cook apron.
AfterBuzz TV
I'd
exclusive.
wear it.
Yes.
Anyway, guys, let's go ahead and get to the meat of this episode, which is the flashback where we get presented with the origin of Nora and Ren's friendship.
This is Ren's, the origin of their friendship, but we still don't know where Nora came from or what happened to her.
No, every time we get questions answered, we're only left with more questions.
She fell from the sky.
This mortal form grows weak. I require sustenance.
Yeah.
Like, Dad disowned her, and it was a literal fall from grace. Just like, see a small child.
I mean, if it's anything to do with the Thor legend, got kicked out of the Remnant's version of Asgard.
Yeah.
That's true.
And then got hit by a car, went and tried coffee for the first time.
Threw the cup on the ground.
Her brother, guys, what if she has a brother Loki? That would make me so happy.
Has nobody thought about that before?
We do have another bit of Norse mythology showing up in this episode, and
We're not there yet.
I don't care.
All right.
Do you just want to talk about it
We're
then?
just going to talk about it. They've been talking
about-
about it for an entire freaking hour. We are going to hit this in the stupid face. Both of them. It has 2 faces.
So, the legendary Norse mythology story of Satan Pony, which has an actual name, but it's one I can't pronounce.
It's
Katie.
called a Knucklavy. It is. I have. Oh my God! Evidently, it is. I'm trying to give a history lesson.
I know.
I want to
I'm
hear
trying
the
to sing a song.
I want to hear the song
Evidently, it is a
personally.
monster that is in the sea and also on land. The Knucklavy, I'm reading from the Wikipedia page, which has some horrifying art, which is wonderful. The Knucklavy has a man's torso attached to a horse's back as if it were a rider. The male torso has no legs, but its arms can reach the ground from its position on top of the equine body, the legs of which have fin-like appendages. The monster has 2 heads. The equine head has an enormous gaping mouth that exudes a smelly toxic vapor and a single giant eye that burns like burning red flame. A particularly gruesome detail is that the Knucklavy has no skin. And it's supposed to bring like plague and all sorts of other awful stuff. Death and destruction and
According
plague.
to Malachroma on Twitter, the Knucklavy is actually a beast from Orcadian mythology. The Orkney Isles are an archipelago in the northern Scottish Isles. So, it's something where a part of European.
It's a shared story
I'm just
reinterpreted
seeing,
by different cultures.
It has its origins in Norse mythology and is the most horrible of all the demons of Scotland's Northern Isles.
Yes.
So 6 of one, half a dozen of the
So
other.
yes to both.
And also,
I love that they have incorporated this particular type of grim.
This particular hell beast.
Yeah, I love when a story, especially a fantasy story like this, does something a little different. And I don't know about you guys, but up until this point, I had never heard of a Nuclevi. I, not in any capacity, maybe in other bits of folklore and other fantasy novels. This is literally something I have never seen before. And I absolutely adore the fact that they went the extra mile to get something different.
I'd heard of it in passing because one of my friends did a Nuclevi fan art in the style of My Little Pony. So there is a My Little Nuclevi fan art by Lynx Griffin floating around out there. Find it, laugh, cry, do whatever.
Yes, Satan Pony.
It's a thing. But I'd forgotten about it. And then we see this, it's like, oh, I went Minotaur because of the hoof prints, but this is so much worse. I was legitimately freaked out during this episode. Like, I was not okay.
I fangirled a little bit.
Something that I've seen in old Norse art. I took a mythology class back in college. Like some people do. It always sounds like I took one semester of this back in college, so I'm an expert. But it's one of those things where I've seen the picture of it, and the fact that they didn't show it in its entirety. Of course, they're waiting for a big reveal, either in the next episode of the finale. I probably go, oh, it's that thing. Because it's a horse with fins. It's a weird Vaporeon, but a horse instead of a dog. But yeah, no, I've always been a fan of the boss level Grimm. Because we got some sort of commons. Kevin.
We've got Kevin. We had the water dragon that we had earlier this season. We had the Geist, which looked like a golem with the way.
But also seemed that seemed a little.
Were introduced as a sort of boss level Grimm. They've been around for a long time. They learn.
They learn. Yeah. Terrifying.
So how long has Satan Pony been out there?
I mean, it made a home for itself.
I like to think that all of those weapons and whatnot aren't from people attacking its cave, but from it going up there, pulling a Reaper and just being a gas cloud for a minute and letting all the weapons stuck in it fall out, and then being like, oh, I like this one, I'll keep it.
Maybe it just likes the all of the things that look like flowers. It's like, I just like the flowers.
Could be. There was also Grim splat everywhere in that cave. There was oil slicks.
Yeah.
It's Grim splat. I don't know.
Grim sick.
Yeah,
splat.
I don't want to think about whatever that liquid is.
And that arrow that Ren picked up was his dad's.
Yeah.
I'm surprised he didn't just fall down in fetal position right there.
Yeah, just like
Or you saw,
emotionally crippled.
Or like he started to go down and then you saw like the decolorization and then it go away really quick.
So speaking of. We see that this episode went like full Attack on Titan with this backstory.
The mom getting taken out by a falling house. Yeah.
Yeah. Monster destroying the town. Panic. Kills your family. Yeah, that's a bad time. But as Ren is panicking, suddenly something happens, and we can assume that it was his aura activating.
Sure.
Is his semblance invisibility from the Grimm?
I think,
or even just a calm.
Calm. It's because if you think about it, and I saw this theory on the Webternet over the weekend as well.
On the Webternet?
Yes, on the Interpower Computer Net. At the beginning of season 3, when they're at the noodle stand, and Nora's freaking out about what happens if this and this and this, and she starts to lose her color, and then all of a sudden she comes back down from it, was Ren trying to calm her down.
Oh.
So that's something that is established from the beginning of their relationship, of his way of trying to help her feel better.
Yeah, evidently, according to Camille in chat, according to the wiki, Ren's semblance is called desaturation.
What does that mean, though?
No, we're back to the color thing, though, and the art and the emotions drawing in Grimm. It's all connected.
So the desaturation, in terms of the color scheme, is supposed to like symbolize his semblance being activated, which is just he just finds his calm and becomes kind of invisible to the Grimm because they're drawn to negative emotions. On the one hand, I'm like, that is extremely useful.
So valuable.
On the other hand, I'm like, oh man, like I feel like he kind of got gypped because other people get like polarity powers. Some people get like fire.
Some people get stabbed repeatedly.
He gets to be a Grimm ninja. He
That's
gets
very
to
true.
Crinja.
be invisible to them as long as they are not in line of sight.
Mm-hmm.
That is amazing.
That
And
is
if he can
extremely
sneak up on
helpful.
Satan Pony, all the better.
If he can sneak
Yeah.
up on
Any of them.
he'll be their way to get into Salem's
Yes!
lair.
He'll be able to sneak by
like-
the jellyfish
It's like,
monster.
all right, everybody,
Again,
group hug.
if it's a line of sight thing, like if they can physically
Shimmy.
see you, you're probably still hosed. But they don't have that nice little sense for.
But
And people are calling it tranquility in chat, and all I have is embrace tranquility.
experience tranquility.
Yep.
I had a dream that I was a butterfly.
Death
Oh,
is
Zenny.
whimsical today.
But I had the aha moment because we've seen ways that Ruby can combine her super speed with other people.
Yeah.
What if we could get Ren and Ruby combine their semblances together?
Grand
to be-
invisibility.
and lightning fast. It's just
Yeah.
this huge dart of people that Grim are just like, what was that?
There's a weird draft in here, guys.
Did you hear something? Oh
Ah.
my God, Fred, we've been over this like 15 times. No.
Really lacks security.
Well, you know, Bob
shut-
and Fred are Beowulfs, and they're not alphas, so they're not super smart.
No. But yeah, so I mean, what was the reaction? Because I didn't realize that was going to be the content of the episode, was getting their backstory. What was your guys' reaction seeing the now destroyed town back before the town had been destroyed? Because I was
This
assuming,
ends poorly.
I was assuming that the town was attacked by bandits,
Yeah.
and that the bandits then brought the Grimm. That doesn't seem to be the case. It looks. Oh, go ahead.
We don't know. We really
That's true.
Because stuff just starts to go down. We don't know if there was any sort of an attack beforehand that made stuff go crazy.
Well, and my theory is we saw Oniyuri earlier, and we saw that same hoof print there, and know that it probably got wrecked by Satan Pony. And we know that Ren's parents were involved with the construction of Oniyuri. So what's to say that Satan Pony didn't come across it, murder everything there, and follow the survivors back to Kuroyuri?
Yeah, it seems.
I mean, it doesn't seem to move quickly, but it has a purpose.
it's like the monster from It Follows. It doesn't even need to run after you. It'll catch up
it'll just
eventually.
show up.
But it seems like the second or the settlement that we see earlier in the season is a result of this one going down.
Yeah.
And so as a result, they build that one farther away so as to not attract anything, and then that's where we get the bandits followed by Grim Attack.
Well, there were
Oniyuri
two
was
wrecked towns.
never completed, is the thing.
That
And Ren's parents were involved in its building, and they couldn't do that if Oniyuri was a result of Kuroyuri going down.
I thought he said grandparents, but yeah, okay, I must be remembering that incorrectly. But yeah, this is a really heavy episode. I'm happy that we got to see how they met, but I hope that we get a little bit more in between. Also, I love the entire crewbie, but for the love of goodness, having young Ren as the thumbnail, I think was a little unfortunate.
And it gave too much away.
I think it gave too much away, especially because I saw it tweeted out on sponsor day, and I am a sponsor, but for folks that aren't sponsors, getting that, I don't know how far that reaches for.
I mean, I get the email, so I saw that and I saw that thumbnail, and all that said to me was, "Oh, backstory episode," and I was immediately interested because you dangle backstory in front of my face, and I will just follow you everywhere. Yeah, I'm gonna eat those words at RTX.
I'm sure.
Yeah, I feel kind of ambivalent on it, but like I definitely was like, I do feel like that's showing your hand a little too early. Anyway, neither here nor there. I loved seeing the way they met, and I like too that he didn't initially come to her rescue actually when he first sees her getting picked on, but he was just adorable, by the way.
Aw.
She's trying to buy sake and all that other stuff for his dad. He was just adorable. But I like that he didn't initially try to save her. He was going to run away. And I love what his father had to say of, sometimes the worst thing we can do is do nothing, is to turn a blind eye to this sort of thing. Because you can see how that message informs his character for the rest of his life. It explains one of the, like, probably the main reason he is trying to become a huntsman and is on this journey with Ruby in the first place.
Yeah.
Nailed it.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean,
You would think they would have some really big anti-bullying PSAs in Remnant because it literally attracts Grimm. Like, you would think that this kind of behavior would be very much frowned upon, and...
But if the bullies have a good time bullying, maybe that can, like, counterbalance the negative emotion.
but we saw that in season 1 with Cardin and Jean in the forest with the Ursas. Like, it's surprising how that kind of, I mean, it leads to the elitist nature of some of the society that we learn about, especially when it comes to Kuroyuri and
I can't say it. I can't say it either.
Kuroyuri.
Kuroyuri. Yeah. I can't say it either.
Brain, I spent an entire like month saying names from Yuri on Ice, and I still can't get this stuff right. But yeah, the elitism comes through. While adorable, everybody died. So there is that.
People are stupid.
Yeah.
That's kind of the theme of a lot of this, is just people are
Well,
stupid.
yeah, and if their main priority really was survival, against the Grimm, we wouldn't have had a gigantic war in the first place. Because, again, if you're like, we need to band together to avoid getting murdered by all these Grimm, you wouldn't be fighting amongst yourselves. So that's not a thing that's always in the forefront of people's minds, clearly.
Well, if there's no poor people, then there isn't any problem.
Wow.
So there's that.
Well, it's the hierarchy of needs. You have your protection, and then you go up from there. So you assume that, yeah, Grimm are a problem, but they're not my problem right now, and we have a huntsman in town, and we'll be fine. And then the war happens, and suddenly Grimm are everyone's problem, and your hierarchy of needs goes right back down to the bottom.
You're a food.
Yeah, I mean, that is how the food chain seems to work. Yeah, and not to mention that this monster, like, again, because we don't see a ton of it, there are just so many questions about, like, its destructive capabilities, and again, the carnage that we see within its little cave. Yeah, is that, like, just bits that get stuck to it, like, while it's destroying towns, or is that people who actively came in and tried to fight it in its own cave? What happened there?
And that's what makes this thing so dang scary, because this played out, a lot of this flashback played out like a horror movie. And they did the really smart thing where you saw a glimpse of the monster silhouette. You saw that nice little, I'm hiding under the bed and here's the thing's feet. And you saw its shadow. And the shadow is what gives you a sense of scale. This thing is huge.
So big.
We've never seen it do anything but walk. And it leaves horrific destruction in its wake. That is terrifying. That is enough knowns and enough unknowns to just be horrifying.
It does look like something that would be on the cover of, like, a heavy metal album from
It probably
the 80s,
has
right?
been. It probably has. Like, the source material probably has in many. I mean, there's. Black metal is a product of the Norse region.
Yeah.
So.
Satan pony.
I'm sure. And if not, then, like, someone in Remnant needs to get a band together and make that their album cover.
Again, some of the survivors were like, the only thing we have to sing about is pain. So let's make this thing that killed all of our families and friends. Let's make that the poster child for it.
All about artistic expression. And, yeah, we actually have Cam Griffin on Twitter wrote, "Where was Sun in episode 10?" and sent us a little bit of fan art. World of Remnant treating a stab wound.
Oh, we got continuation.
Please continue to do these. I love it.
For those of you who don't understand that joke, please, was it the last episode?
It was
that we
last
did?
episode.
Make sure to watch our last episode where we talk about the future of the World of Remnant segment, depending on what happens to Uncle Crow or not.
Real Miss Caros on Twitter said something that we talked about it in the reaction video, which isn't up yet because, week delay. You have a Norse monster and a Norse-themed person. What if it followed Nora?
Yes, that is exactly what she was pointing out. That's her theory, is that, Nora's town was destroyed probably, and then she escaped, and that this thing followed her rather than following Ren's father. Like, rather than following the survivors of, that town that they had under construction, following it back to their main town, that it actually followed her instead.
Swear to God, if this means we're losing Nora too, RTX is gonna be a little bit rough. I'm gonna have to hit somebody. Probably Miles and Carrie and Gray.
They just love bathing in the tears of their fan base, right?
That's how they survive.
Yeah.
That's how they stay alive.
I mean, there was a Jean
That's how they stay
cosplayer.
young.
Yeah.
There was a Jean cosplayer walking around with a jar of Pyrrha's ashes. Obviously, we all deal in different ways.
there were
like
lots
3 of them.
There were Pyrrhas with arrows through their chest.
There were so many dead Pyrrhas at RTX.
And you didn't see any dead pennies because they were just on the ground. Because they couldn't
No,
move.
but
They
there
were
was
cut in 4
someone who
pieces.
had a penny arm and was offering it to people.
Oh,
It was really
too
funny.
soon. It was too soon at the time.
Yeah. I mean, some would argue it still is. Maybe.
Fair enough. Like I said, I really like that they went with this kind of atypical mythological creature to turn into a Grimm. I want to know, guys, what is your favorite, like, atypical mythological creature? Something outside of your just typical ghosts, goblins, and, like, werewolves that like, fiction always goes to. What's your favorite thing that you wish fiction would do more often?
Give me a banshee.
Ooh.
Give me an actual, honest-to-God Irish banshee.
Oh.
I
Banshees.
murdered that. I butchered that. But yeah, give me a friggin' banshee.
I like banshees. Those are good.
Owlbear.
Owlbear?
Owlbear!
Just seems so cool. Wise and powerful. Owlbear.
Man, bear, pig.
No, God, I didn't say that because that's the devil.
For me, and it's probably too big too mainstream if you think about it, but like I like the chupacabra and I like the Jersey Devil. You don't get a lot with either of those.
Chad has been asking for Cthulhu.
I mean,
Cthulhu Grimm.
that could be endgame for Salem. She might be trying to create Cthulhu Grimm. Who knows?
Cthulhu Grimm just rises from the deep.
Man,
Down.
love
How can
crafty and grim. Just
How can you make Cthulhu more badass as a Grimm? I guess we'll find out, maybe.
Yeah, maybe.
Fan artists.
Yeah, get on that, guys.
I mean, I'm a Kingdom Hearts fan, and I've seen some really horrifying Heartless, so do you figure Grimm kind of go along a similar route?
It would be really cool to see. I don't remember the names of those particular Heartless, but the giant Heartless with the giant like heart-shaped hole in the middle of it from the first game.
Yeah, I forgot what they were called too.
Yeah, I forget what they're called, but I would love to see like a Grimm version of that thing. That would be great.
Just put a mask on it.
Yeah, pretty much.
Kind of what I was thinking of it, and that's killing me because I know what it's called, and my brain just went, nah.
What kind of a Kingdom Hearts fan are you? Shame.
One who's in the middle of talking about a
Shame.
completely different canon
Anyway,
right now.
we should move into straight predictions. Are there any other thoughts on this episode before we get into rapid fire predictions?
Ooh, Camille wants a Wendigo. Dark side. Thank you, chat. It's the dark side Heartless.
That's my new
Wendigos.
ringtone. Woo!
Give me Wendigos. Give me Skinwalkers.
Gross.
Do you know what a Skinwalker is?
I don't, because I want to talk about the little
Yes.
bit of news
Yes.
that we got this week.
Let's do it. Let's do it.
Quick little bit of news.
Good job.
So, Rooster Teeth announced via Variety and a lot of other things their slate for 2017. I saw it on Variety first. So, a lot of different folks have announced it, but their slate for 2017. They have announced that Ruby Chibi is returning in May with a new season.
Happy birthday to me.
Very, very wonderful. Red vs. Blue is starting season 15 in April, which is lovely.
Yes.
Another favorite of ours here, Camp is returning in June. February 18th is going to debut Sex Swing, a throwback to 80s era cartoons that follows a glam metal band starring the folks from Funhouse, as well as Death Battle is gonna keep coming from the folks at Screw Attack.
Nice.
Death Battle X. Volume 5 of RWBY is gonna be coming later this year, presumably around the same time frame as Volume 4 started. So
So you can expect to see some after shows returning on this channel.
hell yes you can.
Hey.
Woo!
And that's about that for news.
I'm so excited. We've also got Jessie Storm 40 on Twitter sent us a link to a bit of fan art on DeviantArt of the Nuclevi skewering Ren's father.
That sounds disturbing.
Wow,
Yep,
that's
here
me,
it is.
and also I can't
Viewer
find it on
discretion
Twitter.
advised.
Oh, that is a death.
Oh, that's messed up.
Viewer discretion discretion advised.
That's quite
Go
good.
check it out.
That
The
is
hashtag,
some good
guys.
art, but that is messed up. We have
anyway.
requests in chat for a Hydra Grim.
Ooh, I like that.
I would like Scylla and Charybdis Grim.
That would be great. All right, we are running short on time. Any rapid fire predictions before we
Your
get on out of here?
AfterBuzz TV predictions.
I'm just gonna lie here and cry. I feel like we will gear up for a boss battle with Satan Pony, and we will not get there. Like it'll start, and that'll be the end of the season.
I think that battle will be the end of the season, whether we see the end of it or not. And this is just an overarching prediction, a looking down prediction. I think because of how huge the past three seasons have been and how grand of a scale they've gotten, and this is not my view personally, but I think that the fandom at large may complain about the end of this, the end of this season a little more than usual because it seems so small scale. While we are dealing with a boss Grimm, it's something a little bit more personal. We usually get storylines wrapped up at the end of a season, whereas this one seems to be the first one that's just going to be continuing into further seasons.
Yeah. You know, it kind
I'm
of
down.
reminds me, I feel like it's going to be like the end of Volume 1, where, yeah, it's great that, like, we're in this certain place, and yeah, we put Roman in his place for a little bit, but there's still clearly, like, tons going on and tons that hasn't been resolved yet.
Yeah, we're not going to see the group back together.
Exactly.
There's no way we're going to all get all back together in 2
Logistically
episodes.
speaking, that's
Yeah.
not happening.
Yeah.
I'm expecting that for season 6, volume 6.
Oh, it's going to take forever to get the band back together.
No, it's going to take until May when Ruby Chibi returns.
Yeah!
That's how long.
My only prediction is that this thing is going to be, barreling towards where Jean and Ruby are. In order to save Crow, I feel like Raven is going to emerge from the wilderness and help them defeat it. That's just a thought, though.
And my thought on Oscar that I mentioned earlier in the show is that no matter the circumstance, he and Hazel are going to be traveling together, whether it's by force, or whether it's Hazel going, "Hey, this kid's pretty cool."
Just crazy random happenens.
And then the voice in his
Super
head's going to be
awkward
like,
train ride.
"Dude, you got to watch this guy." And he's just like, you find out that Hazel's like an all right guy. Who's just like, I see the world a little bit
You
differently.
remind me of myself when I was a kid.
And
I was
Osmond's like,
completely evil.
and Osmond's like, "Merp, merp, merp, no.
Robinson.
So I think regardless, they're going to be traveling together, whether that's he finds out who he is and he takes him to Salem right away, or it's just like, you shouldn't be traveling by yourself, kid. Just come with me.
Yeah.
Just come with me and don't tell anybody what you
Don't
see.
let such a small obstacle stand in your way. Oh, so good. Well,
I wonder if
again,
he sees other people as small obstacles.
probably he's a very tall person.
He'd punch through their center mass Kung Pao style, and you just see it's like one solid chunk. It's not even physically possible.
I cannot wait to see him in an action sequence. It's going to be fantastic. Well,
We'll be screaming.
I think that just about does it for this week. Katie, where can people go if they want to find you?
You can find me on the social medias and on YouTube at Kiaxet, that is Kiaxet. If you want to see Megan and me react to these episodes fresh, they live on that YouTube channel. Arrow's on Wednesdays, Star Wars Rebels is on Sundays, and Voltron is back. That's going to be 9 o'clock Thursday night, so, come back in an hour and we'll be doing Voltron.
Yay!
Hey, it's Mark B. Donica. You can find me on Twitter at Mark B. Donica. We just wrapped up, if you're a fan of anime, we just wrapped up our Yuri on Ice after show. The season finale of it was on Monday. It's been an amazing experience. If you watch the show, go back and re-experience it with us. It was a lot of fun. Both friends of the Rooster Teeth team, Stacey Shuttleworth, Alexis Torres, and Emma Fife were also on it. And Xander Genere as well joined us for a couple of episodes. It was a lot of fun. Also follow us at Rooster Team. We're ABTV Rooster Team, excuse me. I'm already thinking about RTX, and it's months away. So with Sydney coming up, we're going to be seeing a lot of news. Make sure you keep up with us there on that Twitter account.
Yes. And I'm Megan. You guys can find me, hearing the sound of the Knucklevies scream in my nightmares. But you can also find me on Twitter and Instagram at the Menguin. That's TheMenguin. I'm also on a bunch of shows here at AfterBuzz and I write articles for the Movie Chick. That's Chick with 2 Ks. Be sure to check those out. Thank you guys so much to everybody in the live chat and the hashtag. We will see you all next time.
From executive producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire AfterBuzz TV staff, we would like to thank you for listening to the AfterBuzz TV network. To watch or listen to other after shows and post comments or questions, be sure to visit AfterBuzzTV.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of AfterBuzz TV.
Dust you later.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.